Joining us right from there is Joey Alfieri of 690 TSN. Joey, thanks again for making time out of your busy schedule. How are you?
I'm doing well. An honor to be on. Best show.
The honor's all mine, Joey. I mean, I got to tell you, there's a lot of buzz in the city of Toronto. There's a lot of excitement because, look, we can't get excited over the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's going to be a long year, and we'll be hoping that we can get Austin Matthews. So we're focused on this game Thursday night, and what a game it will be. We just had on Dilly Duca. Let's talk about Dilly. He comes in that second half. Things start to change, Joey. And as I mentioned to him, it looked like Biello mentioned to him to go at Jackson because Jackson was getting frustrated, agitated, and he was on the cusp of being sent off. And I believe if I'm Biello, that's the guy I'm targeting if he starts on Thursday night. You?
Well, I mean, I agree. I agree with your assessment. As soon as Duca came on, things started to happen because in the first half, I mean, Johan Venegas made Jackson look like an all-world fullback. I mean, he just seemed like Venegas wasn't taking Jackson on ever. He wasn't making life difficult for him at all. And in the second half, that substitution was made right at the start of the second half, and that's when things start to happen down that left side for Montreal. A lot of things went their way, and it wasn't only that. I mean, there's many reasons why the Impact were able to get things done in the second half, but that's definitely one of the main reasons was Venegas wasn't getting the job done. He comes off, and Dilly Duca, he made it happen.
Joey, the tale of two halves. I mean, that first half, I'm sitting watching with my son, and I'm saying to myself, if Josie Altidore and Jovinko can connect like this, watch out Eastern Conference. It could be a long, long playoff for any team that faces TFC. And then the second half, Biello either said something to his squad or said nothing because, let's be honest, this Montreal squad is a veteran-laden squad. There's not much to say. But to me, it looked like a side in that first half, the Montreal side, that were reserved, were tentative. They weren't pressing ahead. And then something happened. Oduro with his blazing speed causing problems. I mean, we saw the Drogba magic, on and on. It was a tale of two halves, but a sloppy game in total, Joey. You agree?
Yeah, I do. I think it was just that both teams shared being sloppy. Montreal in the first half, very lucky not to be down more than one. I mean, Evan Bush came up with that save on Finley off the cross, the header. There was a couple other ones where even in the first 5 minutes there on Jovinko, he had to get a piece of that ball or else it was going in. So, I think Montreal was lucky to come out just down 1-0. And obviously, after the first goal, Toronto FC clearly rattled, and they were definitely shaken after the second one as well. I thought they got a little bit better in the final 10 minutes, obviously, but that was Montreal subbing off some of the attackers for some defenders like Kasun Kamara. I mean, it was sloppy, and I'll be honest with you, I really don't know what to expect on Thursday. Is it going to be Toronto adjusting to what Montreal did in the second half, or is it going to be Montreal showing a new wrinkle? I don't know. I'm really curious to see how the Impact learned from their first half mistakes. And getting back to Biello, I think it's hard to tell what he said. I think we asked the guys often enough, and nobody really had a straight answer. But one of the things that came across was exactly what you said. They looked timid, and he told them, stop playing like you don't want to lose and start playing to win. And that's exactly what they did.
And I think, Joey, this could be a lot of problems for TFC because now they've got the confidence. They see that Drogba is playing lights out. They see that Piatti can chip in as well. And Piatti's a guy that doesn't play any defense at all. So forget him trying to help you out coming back.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at TFC, and if I'm Biello, I'm saying to myself, if Kantari starts, we're off to play the New York Red Bulls. This guy is an absolute disaster, Joey.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I think that back four in general, I'd say that, I'm trying to be as politically correct as possible here, but, I think the back four obviously needs some work. I think you'd admit as a whole, they need some type of help or overhaul or something. And, there's not many teams, obviously. You've seen that in the last 11 games that have an answer for Didier Drogba. And I mean, on that TFC back four, I don't see it either. But at the same time, that's not the only facet of the game. I mean, look at central midfield. As well as Donadell did, as well as Rio Coker did. I think that's somewhere where obviously Montreal is going to be outmatched, and winning the middle of the park is going to be key in this game. I think, as bad as, or not as bad, but as much of an advantage as Montreal has at the back, I do think that Toronto has the same advantage in midfield. So
I couldn't agree more. And ever since watching the Champions League run with Montreal Impact and watching Donatel still up until Sunday, I don't know how this guy does it. To me, he looks completely out of shape. To me, he's got a wonderful 1-2 touch, but he's out of shape to go a full 90. And then God bless Nigel Reo-Coker. He had, I think, a real strong game. To me, there's another guy that you mentioned, to go a full 90, he's going to be completely gassed at the end of that. And then if they do get by TFC, I think they'll be absolutely done against the New York Red Bulls because that midfield is key.
Well, I mean, they don't get New York right off the bat, right? If they do end up winning, they'll get Columbus.
That's right, yeah.
About that. But you know what? I actually thought that Donadell had one of his better games to be honest with you, on Sunday. I didn't think he was terrible. I think it was obviously simple. He eliminated some of those silly fouls, although I thought the official kind of let a lot of stuff go. In terms of Real Coker, I understand what you're saying over 90 minutes, but keep this in mind, okay? Under Frank Lopez, who was the head coach for most of the season, Nigel didn't play. So I understand that in the course of a game, you'll obviously get tired, but he doesn't have a ton of minutes in his legs like Donadell does. So I think that in terms, in that regard, I think maybe Bernier comes off the bench a little bit earlier on Thursday if that's what Biello wants to do and if he wants to keep most of the starting lineup intact. But, I think that between Bernier, Real Coker, and Donadell, I think they'll be okay. I think that's just me. I think they'll be okay, but it's somewhere where they're definitely outmatched when you look at the other side.
Now, if I'm Greg Vanney and TFC, I'm inserting two guys. Eric Zavaleta in place of Kantari. That's a given for me. And then you know what? I wouldn't mind inserting Colin Warner to go at Drogba. I mean, Jovinko gets no respect whatsoever from any team. He is hacked, whacked, chopped down. Drogba is a guy 6 foot plus, beautifully built. It's hard to take that guy down. And I think Colin Warner can cause a lot of problems, really on top of a Drogba all game.
Yeah, and I agree. And you know what? That was the one on the broadcast. I had mentioned that after those two goals back-to-back, I understand Colin Warner, obviously, he's not known for his goal-scoring prowess here. But that's a change I would have made just to try to win back and settle things down in the midfield in the second half. Instead, I mean, I don't know what Greg Vanney was thinking. I would have made the substitution, the first one anyway. He made that double switch with the Hercules and Colin coming in. But that's one I would have made. That's one I definitely would have made a lot sooner. And Vanney just kept arguing with the sideline official. Didn't go to his bench nearly soon enough. But that's just me. That's just I thought that's a move they should have made a little bit earlier. But I agree with you. I'm there. I think Colin Warner. I don't think he's obviously going to be the answer to stopping Drogba. At the same time, I don't think anybody in MLS can stop him. I think you try to contain him. It's like Jovinko. You're not going to stop Jovinko, but you try to contain him as best you can, and you hope for the best. Listen, it's a one-off, 90 minutes. You're able to contain for 90 minutes the other team's star, and you'll be fine.
Joey, let me ask you this. It's a one-off game. Winner moves on, and it's two coaches that have never had a playoff game under their belt. Biello coming in midway through the season. Greg Vanney last year at the tail end of last year. This year, a full year under his belt, but still no playoff game. How important is it to have a guy next to them that understands the pressure-packed games? Biello's got Conchina. Vanney's got some guys that have been around MLS. And I think that's going to play a part as well, Joey.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing, I mean, I can't speak to Greg Vanney as much as I can, obviously, to Mauro Biello. But I don't think, knowing Mauro for these 4 years and getting to know him, interviewing him and stuff after practice week in and week out, it's a guy who's not going to be rattled, and I admit after 45, it would have been easy to get rattled and to change things up drastically. He made some tweaks and the right substitutions were made, and I think he'll be okay. He's not a guy who gets rattled, even when, a couple of times where Drogba, somebody took an elbow to, I think Venegas took an elbow to the face or whatever. And the main difference between him and Frank is that Mauro doesn't lose control. No matter who goes down, what the call is, he'll argue, but he's not going to lose complete control. And you see that also with the assistants and the players, the substitutes who are on the bench. with Frank, those guys used to freak out. Frank used to freak out. Those guys used to all freak out, and they used to lose their composure. Enzo and Mauro are opposites, right? Enzo's very fiery. Mauro's more calm, and I think that's perfect. When you have that perfect balance, plus the experience that Enzo brings, the same thing for Vanni. The assistants bring a ton of MLS experience. I think that obviously helps for both sides.
Let's talk about this before we let you go, Joey. Unfortunately, some, not all, some, don't know how to behave themselves at a sporting event and enjoy the moment as many do. I mean, the great supporters of the Montreal Impact and TFC are excited about this game Thursday, and we saw some of the dumb things that took place during that game with the flares and what have you, and the smoke and all that. And I don't think that's part of the game. I don't care what happens in Europe. It's not part of the atmosphere here in North America. And now we hear, stories of MLS possibly banning TFC supporters. I think that's wrong. I mean, I think this is a healthy rivalry. Just make sure when they're entering the game, you're double, triple checking that these guys aren't bringing anything like that.
Right. I mean, I agree with you. It's unfortunate. And listen, just because it was TFC this time, it doesn't mean that Montreal doesn't have their share of people who do stupid things like that too. Trust me, I've seen it firsthand here. Some small percentage of the fan base is told not to do stuff, and they do it anyway. I mean, people are going to do whatever they want. Unfortunately, there needs to be consequences, and this is the approach. I think Montreal's more than happy to see TFC not have their supporters come around. I understand it's not right, but at the same time, it kind of is what it is. They need to beef up, I guess, security, especially for this game. If they're going to let TFC fans in, they're going to have to check out what the fans are bringing into the stadium. But they need to do that for their own fans as well. You know what I mean? Montreal fans have had flares and fireworks and whatever throughout. The 4 years I've been covering the team. So it's unfortunate that it comes down to that, because this is something, and I know people. We're upset about the Vanni comments here about Drogba and whatever, but I think that is perfect. It's the perfect ingredient for what this rivalry has been missing. It needs spice. I understand it's Montreal-Toronto; it'll be normal, but that rivalry is missing spice. And hopefully, after last Sunday and this Thursday, we'll have it going forward.
Oh, I love that. It brings me back to the days when the Leafs actually had a decent team and they were playing the Canadiens in the semifinals, and Larry Robinson and Tiger Williams were going at it. And this is what it's all about, Joey.
Were you born then? It seems like a long time since Toronto.
Oh, boy. Well, I love you, Joey. I'm going to send you a bottle of the finest from here. But I tell you, that's what rivalry is all about. I mean, the comments that Vanni made, who cares? I mean, we got to spice it up a bit. I mean, you don't hear this down south with some of the other playoff games getting ready, any of this stuff. I don't. Maybe you do.
No, listen, but it's Montreal-Toronto, and it needs work. It definitely does. The rivalry, both teams, between them coming into this year, one playoff appearance between both teams. Now that they're playing each other in a one-off, they had to, it was for not all the marbles, but a lot of marbles on Sunday. Hopefully, now with the designated players that both sides have, hopefully this is what it's going to take to propel it to the next level. Okay,
take off your Montreal glasses before we let you go, and give me the result. What's going to take place Thursday night?
Oh boy, you know what? I've given it some thought. I have no idea where to lean. You know what? I'm going to be.
Don't be politically correct. Just say it.
I want this to happen. I'd like to see Montreal win 2-1 on penalties.
Ooh, okay, I like that. I can handle that. I mean, either team, I could handle that.
Yeah, that would be a really cool experience. I think no matter who wins, I think if it goes to penalties, it's just like something you could say. Yeah, I was covering that game when in the playoff game when Montreal-Toronto first went to penalties. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it would be. Joey, listen, class act you are. We really appreciate you taking time to join us. It should be an exciting night. I'm looking forward with my sons to either make the trek down there or sit at home and watch it. I'm excited, and this is great for Canada, great for the two provinces, and great for the mayor of Montreal to get some arm work into ringing that bell. Keep it going. I love it. Joey, thanks again, and enjoy the rest of your night, my friend.
Absolutely. Let me know if you come down, all right?
Absolutely, I will. Joey Alfieri of 690 TSN. What a